Welcome to a behind the scenes video for my Machinima called D8. My name is Bregar, and this story shows maybe one of the most important moments in the TSC universe. The reason why we ended up doing this short instead of the next Rebecca film was because a lot happened between the first and the upcoming one, which would distract from the story we wanted to tell. So we decided to make it short about the royal gathering from Rebecca's perspective. You see more closely what actually happened at the beginning of the Shadow Crown series and how the Eight came together to kill the kings and queens of Landra, starting the Shadow Crown War.
Hello, Simon here, producer of the Shadow Crown. At the end of the first Rebecca film, The Golden Sword, we see a figure standing on a rock waiting for Rebecca and her Ravagers. This is Valiant Yvetz, also known under his secret identity in the Shadow Crown as Daryl Shaw. This is the guy behind it all. He came to found the Eight, something we had to follow up on for those who had not seen the Shadow Crown yet.
We begin the film as the Eight has officially gathered in the home of Idris outside the city of Pachelo. And this is the first time we see them together in one place, which was strange thinking about it later. Valiant is holding his speech about their goals before having them sign the contract binding them to the cause. The very same contract he would go together with Stephen Russell, Scott's son, to get this contract to then later take down the Eight, ironically. I also, for the track in this scene, decided to give the contract its own little theme whenever we would zoom in on it, which I thought turned out pretty good. We also decided to get the whole contract written for the scene. You might not be able to read it, but it's there. We then have a little back and forth between Rebecca and Scott. For anyone that might be confused why this happened, in the Golden Sword film, Rebecca is fighting against his armies from Numero at the Fort Charlesburg. We see him for a moment in the film, directing the border conflict from afar until he goes away, hinting that he's going to join the Eight, which was also one of my cameos in that film, which I also have one in this film. We then move over to the city of Pachelo, the co-location of conflict in TSC, which is so nice to see now that we have a full world and city to work with. This is where the royal gathering happens, and later becomes the capital of the United Landra. Here we get to see the Eight arrive in the city. They spread out to complete their individual tasks. I just love the last line Valiant says before this all happens. It just describes him so well. He knows what he's about to do is terrible and he dreads it, but his dream of a better world overshadows his morality, like he disconnects himself from humanity.
Howdy, I'm Pillow Power, another one of the TSC producers. The next little scene was actually never in the script, but was instead added after the film was already put together. We felt something was missing between the Eight's arrival in Pachelo and Rebecca's meeting with Baren. We came up with this really cool shot which has a guard walk through the tree line holding a torch, illuminating Baren and his Ravagers hidden in the dark behind them, before their raid on the encampment, thus explaining why Baren is covered in blood and exhausted in the next scene.
Next scene is really important for the relationship of Baren and Rebecca. When Rebecca joined the Eight, the Ravagers or Baren didn't have really much say in the joining of the cause. They just go with Rebecca because that's what they do, they trust her, they follow her. So when Rebecca asks him to stay at the gate, well, she is going off doing what they would have done in the past. He sees that as an order from the Eight. He doesn't see it as an order from Rebecca, and he feels she is at risk in her actions, and he's not gonna listen to her. Then he's not gonna follow her commands if it means risking her life. Their history together goes deeper than that. While writing, the idea came to me having King Lemark of Britannia be delayed on the road. It was like solving a mystery puzzle. This plot point solves so many things for the story. It gives a dramatic ending to the short, a finale to the conflict between Rebecca and Lemark, which was set up in the Golden Sword film. It pushes Rebecca further towards her cold-hearted self from the TSC series. And finally, since both Rebecca and Baren are gone from their post, that leaves room for Prince Josavis to escape through the unguarded gate. Something that was strange to work on and see when it was done. How much we have changed to 5 years later since the first episode of Shadow Crown. It was a fun experiment doing the same scene again, of Scott chasing Josavis out of the palace, which represented me from the beginning of me making Machinimas. We have come a long way together since then. I also did my first proper fight scene with Baren and a soldier from Britannia. This is how it turned out. I was so happy to have Raphael come to reprise his role of King Lemark, as he was so great in the first film.
But then I was kind of sad to find out that they were going ahead with a Rebecca sequel, and that it would take place after the king's death. And I was like, oh, that's quite unfortunate, since we've just characterized him and now his death is sort of going to be happening off screen. But then I was quite excited when Brygger approached me with the pitch for this film, for the 8, and I realized that they were going to give some closure to the king, and he invited me on board for that. And this all came about very suddenly. It was within a week of that message that we started recording voiceovers. And that was quite an exciting process, especially getting to record opposite Scuffle and sort of doing our voiceovers at the same time in the scenes that our characters shared. Because just from a performance standpoint, it just enhances the experience so much and gives you someone, actually being able to play off of your scene partner and go back and forth and feed off of each other's intensity. It's definitely something that I think had a huge impact on the final product.
It was also great working with Scuffle and Tossler again for Rebecca and Baren. Both have progressed so much 6 months later since the first film. I cannot wait for us to get started on the next one.
There were some funny moments when, for example, I was recording with Raphael. Brygger would always be there to kind of see how things were going and give live feedback, so that if I had to redo a line or anything, or if I said anything wrong, that he could instantly give me feedback on it and correct me. So we had some funny moments where I kept saying a name wrong, and then we would just kind of repeat it and kind of make a joke about it until I got it right. So what's his name? Yeah, okay, that's his name. Can you say it again? I didn't quite hear you. So kind of playing with humor and stuff, and that way I really did remember it. Often I would hear feedback from Rhaegar saying, angrier, you can do louder, come on. Kind of hyping me up, but also I was just, I have to be even angrier, how can I do that? But I did really enjoy it. It was generally a lot of fun to do the live recordings with the other voice actors and with everybody that was present at the time.
And he just came up to me and said, hey, I think you would fit Baren. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, I guess, if you want me to. I did it, and today it means much more to me, because not only have I just grown in the voice acting just world, right? And even now I just have more confidence in the way I talk, but also I feel like I can give more life to Baren, since I have seen some of Rygar's stuff now, and I feel like I can get more connected to him and make him a character that matters in this universe. Recording with Scuffle was actually pretty fun, more than I expected, because I never did a live recording before. I expected it to just be completely weird and just go wrong somehow, but it was more chill than I expected, and I really liked it.
Pillow, one of our producers, pointed out not only was the moment where Rebecca kills Lemark an impactful moment for these guys' history and character arcs, but the importance of the blade in the scene. Here we have the legendary and historical golden sword of Percania being used to kill the king of Percania. Something I did not think about, but I realized later how important of a moment that was for the overall lore of the world. Last thing we see is another moment from TSC episode 1, which was Jasovitz being chased back to his kingdom beyond the Great Gate of Hircan, which has had a little bit of an upgrade since then. I want to thank the producers Pillow, Simon and One Apple, and the wonderful cast and builders of the TSC world. Now that we have established the 8 and what happened with the Royal Gathering for our new audience, we can now move forward with the story we want to tell for the next Rebecca film, which will be named Lathein.